Urban settlement is a phenomena that developed later than the rural settlement in human civilization. It is difficult to give a clear definition of an urban settlement as different from a rural one. Normally, a settlement is called urban on the basis of its size, density of population and structure of occupation. Sometimes we take into consideration some physical criteria of a settlement which reflect certain underlying economic and sociological qualities to call a settlement a town. For example, if a settlement has well built high rise buildings placed compactly side by side, has necessary civic amenities and high density of population, and if its inhabitants are mostly non-agriculture by occupation, then it may be called urban. Thus, the settlement in which most of the people are engaged in secondary, tertiary and quaternary activities are known as urban places. In India, the Census Authority conceived a scheme to standardize and define urban area. 3 qualifying tests were laid down: a concentration population of more than 5,000, a population density of not less than 400 persons per square kilometers, and absorption of 75% of the adult male population in non-agricultural occupations. On completion of this module, you should be able to understand the functional classification of towns and also understand the various aspects of functional classification. Urban geographers have suggested various ways in which towns may be classified. Towns may be classified on the basis of age, size and geographical location, and have referred also to the use of simple cultural designations. Example: African, European, colonial, pre-industrial and industrial. However, the most meaningful basis of classification is that of function, and therefore, the activities of the towns are of greatest importance. It should, however, be noted that all large cities are more or less multifunctional in nature. As a matter of fact, almost all sorts of activities are carried out in a town, but a certain activity comes to the forefront engaging a considerably large proportion of the population, and thus the town or towns concerned are functionally classed as belonging to that activity. It should be noted that a certain town may originally spring up with certain activity, but later on another activity may become the most important. The definition of function varies across the disciplines. In political science, it is to duties, and in mathematics, it means the relationship between two variables, and in geography, it is synonymous to occupation. Geographers have classified towns on the basis of their site, situation, size, rank, location and elevation. A common characteristic of all the towns and cities is that they are trading and business centers. But most cities and towns perform traditional functions also, which give them distinctive characteristics. Towns are therefore classified according to their dominant function. This dominant function may be trade, administration, defense or entertainment. One of the aspects on which geographers are increasingly focusing their attention is the functional. In functional classification of towns, attempts are being made to categorize towns and cities according to their economic functions. The main objective of functional classification of towns is to identify their roles within urban systems. Most of the classifications of towns have been done on the basis of primary or secondary data pertaining to occupations. Coming to the first one, administrative towns. The main function of administrative cities and towns is to administer the country or state or a specific territory. It includes not only the capital cities of countries, but all the centers of provinces, states, district and other administrative divisions of the country. There are quite large administrative cities, some of them as megacities like Tokyo, Mexico City, Buenos Aires, Seoul, Beijing, Cairo, Jakarta, Paris, New Delhi and London. There are several province capitals also which have more than several millions of population. In India, Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, Lucknow and Jaipur are some of the examples of such administrative towns. There are numerous small sized administrative towns, basically the capitals like Male, capital of Maldives, Stanley, capital of Falkland and Monaco with only a population of 1000. In India, Kohima and Itanagar are the administrative towns with less than 1 lakh population each. Apart from old capitals and homes of the ruling families, there are many capitals which have been newly created for historical, political and strategic reasons. Islamabad in Pakistan, Ottawa in Canada, Brasilia in Brazil and Canberra in Australia are the examples of such capitals. After the partition of the subcontinent of India, Chandigarh was planned as the capital of East Punjab, that is India, and later on it became the capital of Punjab, Haryana and the Union Territory of Chandigarh. The basic function of the administrative towns is the public administration. Consequently, all the administrative cities contain government offices, public buildings, royal palaces and residences of President, Prime Minister, ministers, bureaucrats and other officers. These are usually the headquarters of state run organization such as banks, post offices, railways, defense, trade and industries. The capitals also have universities, hospitals and headquarters of political parties. Coming to the second one, the defensive towns. During the medieval period, most of the towns and cities used to be developed on the defensive sites. Forts and garrisons used to be constructed at strategic places. The defensive towns have barracks, cantonments, training facilities for the armed forces, airfields and harbors for warships. Visakhapatnam, Mahau and Khadakwasla in India, Plymouth and Portsmouth in England and Halifax and Nova Scotia in Canada have been developed as the defensive towns. In many garrison and defensive towns, there is a clear division of land use between the civil and military authorities, so that the military installations are often at a little distance from the town or are grouped together in one part of the town. This is necessary to maintain security, though often many towns people are employed by the military. The city of Meerut and its cantonment, the city of Roorkee and its cantonment and similarly numerous other military and defensive towns have the civil and military components adjacent to each other. Coming to the third one, cultural centers. There are numerous towns and cities in the world, almost in each of the countries, which perform cultural functions. The Oxford and Cambridge in England are the most suitable examples of educational towns. In these towns, one may find colleges, libraries, hostels, churches, playgrounds, parks and shopping centers. The environmental pollution in these towns is almost insignificant. The cities of Harvard in USA, Heidelberg in Germany, Leiden in Netherlands and Aligarh, Varanasi, Pilani, Pantnagar and Roorkee in India are also the good examples of educational towns. The university is sometimes mingled with the town, but in every university town the campus is often on the outskirts of the town. There are numerous religious centers. These religious towns may be the seats of religious leaders like the Vatican City in Rome, the residence of Pope or Lhasa, once the seat of the Dalai Lama of Tibet. These religious centers may be the centers of pilgrimage such as Jerusalem, Mecca, Medina, Karbala, Hardwar, Tirupati, Badrinath, etc. Towns where religion is important have many religious buildings, shops selling religious books and flowers, joss sticks, etc. They also provide accommodation for pilgrims and often have subsidiary functions as tourist centers. Moreover, there are many towns which perform entertainment functions. Stratford-on-Avon, that is the birthplace of William Shakespeare in England, Hollywood, California, and Cannes, France, and Mumbai in India are some of the examples of such towns. Coming to fourth one, that is collection centers. Mining towns, fishing ports, and lumbering centers fall under the category of collection centers or towns. There are numerous metallic, non-metallic, precious stones and energy resources which are obtained from mines. Towns which serve these mines may be small settlements serving a particular mine like Zawar near Udaipur, that is in Rajasthan, Baladela in Chhattisgarh, and Digboi in Assam. They may be large in size like Raniganj, Hazaribagh in India, Ipoh in the tin rich Kinta Valley of Malaysia, or Kuwait and Abadan in the oil producing regions of Kuwait and Tehran respectively. Such towns may have some industries related to the mineral mines such as smelters and refineries. The shops in such towns sell mining equipments and special clothes needed for miners. Fishing ports are the base for small boats which go to sea every day and may be used by large vessels which stay at sea for days or weeks, but they have many features in common. They are usually grouped fairly closely round the harbour and have facilities of landing, storing, cleaning, drying, packing and dispatching the fish, as well as canneries, fertilizer plants, fish meal plants or freezing plants in some cases. In many fishing ports, other related activities such as boat building, net making or repairing and fishing equipment are also found. The main functions of lumbering towns are to collect and partly process the wood, and they often have sawmills and joinery. Some may also have plants for making pulp and paper. The timber towns of Kathgodam in Uttaranchal, Kotdwar in Uttar Pradesh, Dimapur in Nagaland, Sabah in Malaysia, Newfoundland and Grand Falls are the examples of lumbering towns. Apart from the saw and paper mills, the lumbering towns have tree nurseries and research centers. Coming to the fifth point, that is production centers. Urban places, town and cities in which some kind of manufacturing industry is the major function is known as a production center. The sizes and appearance of a town are affected by the type of industry located there. For example, Jamshedpur, Rourkela, Bhilai, Durgapur, Dhanbad and Bhadravati in India, Pittsburgh in USA, Magnitogorsk in Russia and Birmingham in UK are dominated by large steel plants. Such iron and steel producing towns are generally located near the coal fields. For the manufacturing towns as collecting centers, transportation is very important for the transport of raw materials and finished goods. These days such towns are generally set up on the lines of communication. In Japan, there are such towns like Tokyo and Osaka. In India, Rourkela, Bhilai, Dhanbad and Durgapur are also on the main lines of transportation and communication. In manufacturing towns, there is segregation of houses and establishment. The officers' quarters may be grouped at one place and that of the labourers at the other. Birmingham Iron and Steel in England, Rochester and Detroit, that is iron and car manufacturing in America, and Ahmedabad and Surat, they are famous for textile manufacturing in India, are some of the examples of manufacturing towns. Coming to the sixth point, that is transfer and distribution centers. The main function performed at transfer centers are the trade, commerce and services. Towns which are concerned with the transfer and distribution of goods, however, have trade as their major function. They include several types of towns. For example, market towns, seaports and financial towns. Market towns are characterized by the markets, a wide range of shops, stores, warehouses, godowns, cold storages and wholesale markets. Market towns also have banks, insurance companies and other financial organizations. Kanpur, Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Indore, Bhopal, Patna, Lucknow, Ludhiana and Hapur in India, Norwich in England, Alexandria in Egypt and Kumasi in Ghana are some of the examples of such towns. The most important trading and distribution centers are generally the ports. Moreover, most of the largest cities of the world are seaports. For example, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, New York, Shanghai, Mumbai, Los Angeles, Buenos Aires, Kolkata and Rio de Janeiro are all important seaports and have more than 5 million population each. There are many important inland ports on lakes and rivers including Kolkata on the Hooghly River, Hanko on Yangtze-Kiang, St. Louis on the Mississippi, Baku on the banks of Caspian Sea and Cleveland on Lake Erie. Apart from the infrastructure for trade, they have large commercial sectors with shops, offices and financial institutions. There is a high degree of diversity in the functions performed by different ports. For example, there are general ports like Hamburg, Marseilles, Bandar, Abbas, Karachi, Columbia, Malacca, Lobito, etc. Passenger ports like Kingston in Jamaica and Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, outports like Hamburg, Avon, London and entry port ports like Rotterdam, Aden and Singapore. The entry port ports are characterized with large warehouse facilities and shipping and trading companies. In some of the towns, the dominant function is finance rather than trade distribution of goods. Such towns include Frankfurt in Germany, Zurich in Switzerland, Amsterdam in Netherlands, Beirut in Lebanon and Wall Street in New York. These towns and cities have stock markets, auction rooms and numerous offices, financial houses, banks and commercial agencies. Coming to the seventh point, that is the resorts. The urban places which cater the recreation needs of people are known as resorts or recreation towns. These urban places may be based on health giving water, that is hot springs, seaside recreation, mountain climbing, cultural attraction, historical monuments, sports facilities, national parks and attractive scenery. Resorts and recreational towns have many hotels to accommodate visitors and also provide sporting facilities such as golf courses, swimming pools, trekking and skiing. Moreover, they have numerous entertainment facilities such as theatres, cinemas, nightclubs and children parks. They also have good range of shopping facilities as most tourists like to buy souvenir, postcards and clothing and equipment for the sporting activities. The old age people also prefer to stay there to pass their retired life. In some British seaside resorts, almost half of the population is over 65 years of age. Dehradun is also known as the town of retired officers. Srinagar, Gulmarg, Pahalgam, Sonmarg in Kashmir, Shimla, Dalhousie, Kulu Manali in Himachal Pradesh, Mussoorie, Nainital, Ranikhet in Uttaranchal, Mount Abu in Rajasthan and Darjeeling in West Bengal are some of the examples of such towns in India. Moritz in Switzerland, Trieste, Padova in Italy, Gulu in Uganda, Wazir in Kenya, Muri Mardana in Pakistan, Swansea in Wales, Aberdeen and Dundee in Scotland and Samarkand, Bukhara in Uzbekistan are some of the examples of such towns. Coming to the residential towns, in some towns the chief function is simply to house a concentration of population. In such areas, most of the land is devoted to houses, parks and hospitals. These towns are very well connected with the major cities, which enables the commuters to get to work each day. Shahadara, Shahibabad, Ghaziabad, Shakarpur, Ghazipur, Khichdipur, Bahadurgarh, Sanpla, Gurgaon, Sohna and Badarpur are such towns situated around Delhi. In fact, the towns which fall in this category are the suburbs and small towns and villages around the metropolitan cities. Coming to the towns of diversified functions. As stated at the outset, towns are classified according to their major functions. So, it is put all those towns such as Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, etc. into a definite category in which a large number of activities are conducted. Such towns are referred as diversified in functions. Over space and time, the functions of towns change. For example, defensive sites often become restrictive when the town expands. Thus, many towns have restricted centers which were once confined within the town walls, and more extensive suburbs which grew up outside the walls are after the walls were demolished. Shahjahanabad in Old Delhi, Padova in Italy, Baghdad in Iraq and Baku in Azerbaijan are some of the examples of such towns. Many towns have changed their sites in the past. For example, Delhi has shifted its several sites, that is Indraprastha, Surajkund, Mehrauli, Siri, Tughlakabad, Shahjahanabad, New Delhi, etc. Sometimes great disasters like floods or earthquakes have led to the shift and rebuilding of towns. For example, San Francisco and California in USA, Tashkent in Uzbekistan, Ashikabad in Turkmenistan and Agadir in Morocco have been rebuilt at new sites after the great earthquakes in recent history. The cities are not static in their function. The functions change due to their dynamic nature. Even specialized cities, as they grow into metropolises, become multifunctional, wherein industry, business, administration, transport, etc. become important. The functions get so intertwined that the city cannot be categorized in a particular functional.